biggest thing that gets in the way of what you want is not knowing what you want. I know that's crazy, but a lot of my clients are busy women that are running businesses, organizations, their households, having spouses, they're doing things for their family, and they don't take the time to really consider what they want. It really came up for me this past week because I did a keynote where I was speaking to 600 women, and a lot of them told me afterward that the biggest thing that stuck with them is they need to know what they desire. They have forgotten what that is because they're so busy doing for everyone else. And so I want to give you 3 things that you can do so that you can really simplify what's going on in your mind, what's going on in your life right now, and get back to the heart of what you desire for your personal life and professional life, so that as you're finishing up 2025, things can be a lot more clear. Not even just a lot more clear, but crystal clear, so that when you are taking action, you know what it's grounded in. And I want you to be grounded in what you desire. I believe that when we run with desire, when we write the vision, make it plain, know what we desire, that gives God something to work with. And it allows us to put our faith out there, out of our heads and our hearts onto paper, into the real life that we live in, so that things that we need come to us, because everything that we need to get done what we desire is already here. So with that being said, 3 things. The first thing I actually did this past weekend, and it is declutter your environment. So some of you may know I am taking a bohemian year. I'm taking a bohemian year because I felt led to do that. And so I've been doing a lot of travel. And with that, I am basically staying with family and friends in between me being out of the country. And so I just felt so constricted because I'm like, this is not my own space anymore. I have, things piled in different places because I don't know where to put it. And I was like, you know what, Desiree, you have control of this. You have control of your life. You can make whatever space you're in a space that is filled with peace, that has order, and is aligned to what you need it to be, so that you can flourish and not feel overwhelmed. And so that is exactly what I did. I said, Desiree, we're not doing this no more. And so I decluttered you all. So I got rid of stuff. I'm currently, staying in my parents' guest room while I'm in between countries. And I'm like, hey, mom and dad, I'm about to throw away a couple things. You don't mind? And of course they didn't, because they're doing their own declutter. And so I was doing that, and immediately, you all, I was like, I'm going to get a couple things for, the guest room. It'll make it feel more of my own. And with that being said, I'm like, oh my goodness, a lot of things that I know I wanted to do in my business suddenly became clear, because now I'm not so disjointed. I'm not so overwhelmed with the space that I'm actually spending most of my time in. And so consider the spaces you've been spending time in is a time for you to declutter. And maybe that makes you feel overwhelmed because you're like, I already have my time spent right now. But just start with a small area. And that's what I did. I was like, let me start with the dresser drawer. Let me organize my drawers. Let me see what's in here. And so that helped me. And then before you know it, I was on a roll. And that's all it is. Once you get started, and if you only give yourself permission to do a little bit, you'll do more. You just will, because the momentum is going to build and you'll do more. And even if you don't do more, you have done something, and that's going to be better than nothing. And you are going to feel so much clearer. I mean, it is proven scientifically that our space really affects what is going on with us emotionally, spiritually, all the things. If you have a crowded space, there's something in you that feels restricted, right? And so you got to declutter, get the things out the space so you have room. It just creates room for us. And then we just hold on to things that we don't need. I started getting rid of some of the clothes that I had. I'm like, I don't even wear this anymore. Let me get rid of it. And it's just making room for what I want to step into. And so I want to encourage you to do that. I'm telling you, you declutter, you're going to start getting really clear about, what do I desire before the end of the year? It's so funny how it happens, because now we've gotten rid of all these objects in our space that we think that we have to tend to. And it's adding to the feeling of heaviness and the feeling of stuckness and the feeling of non-clarity. And so I want to help you with that. All right, so that's one, your environment. Go ahead, pick a room, pick something, a place that you spend time in, and start decluttering that thing. The next thing I want you to do, and this is along the sides of declutter, is I want you to clear your schedule of things that are not important to your highest priorities. And so I have trained over 30,000 leaders in habit change, and I did a lot of it with 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And so habit 3 is about put first things first. And one of the biggest things about put first things first is this, that you need to make room, create space for what is most important and not urgent. But most of the times our schedule is filled with things that are important to other people or not really urgent and important. They're just things that we make urgent and important. And a lot of times when it comes to thinking about your future self, how you want to spend your life and time, we say that's important to us, but we make everything else urgent and important. And so we don't create the space for it. So you got one job, well, you had 2, because I told you one thing, telling you this, and I'm gonna tell you another thing, but you're gonna have another job. And this one job for this part is I want you to clear your schedule of things that don't matter. And you know what this is. You probably already know what projects you've been taking on that really aren't necessary right now, that aren't important enough to be necessary right now. And consider what is in your life right now that you need to block time so that you can tend to it. It's important, but it's not urgent. And what I mean by that, it's not urgent to the extent that it's in a crisis mode, which is good. Some things you don't want it to be urgent. You want to be proactive about it because it's important, and you want to keep it in a place where it's not suffering. And so it's like, for health, for example, when you are struggling in your health, suddenly you make eating right, suddenly you make exercise, and suddenly you make sleep important. Those things are important anyway, but they're not urgent. We have to create space for it. And so think about what's on your schedule that you have made urgent and they're not important, and make those things go away. Like, if they're important to somebody else, you need to have some boundaries. You need to tell people, nah, I'm not doing that. And create the space that you need to have more breathing room for what is most important. So if you want to end this year making more income, maybe you desire that promotion, you want to raise your rates if you're an entrepreneur, maybe you want to give yourself more time with your family, so you want to hire more staff that's going to help carry the load so you don't feel like you're overworking and doing all the things. You have to create space for that. You want to create more space for your family, your friends, your loved ones. You want to create more space to date or just care for yourself and do things that are important to you. You have to create space for that. Nobody's going to make you live an amazing life. You get to create this amazing life for yourself. All right? So clear your schedule. Just look at your schedule, look at your week, and just consider, you know what? This is not really important and urgent to me. And these are some things that are actually important to other people, and they made it urgent for me, and now I'm going to have a conversation with them. And then there's, a section of things that are just time wasters that I know I've been doing to avoid like really spending time with myself. And we do that. That's a thing that we want to avoid spending time with ourselves. We want to avoid answering the hard questions, and so we'll create busyness to distract ourselves. And so get real with yourself. Maybe that's scrolling. Start to notice if I'm doing things to just avoid things. And if that might not even be on your schedule, that just might be a habit. I want you to notice those things and just stop doing it. All right? And so the last thing that I want you to do is put now on your schedule, right? So we've decluttered our environment, we've decluttered our schedule. I want you to make an appointment with yourself. I want you to make an appointment with yourself. And this appointment can be 15 minutes or 30 minutes. If you're feeling froggy, you can do an hour. But 15 minutes and just in peace and quiet, or if you want to play, some music that helps you kind of get centered and grounded, I just want you to spend time and visualize, what is it that you desire before the year is out? What is it that you desire before the year is out? And just give yourself that space, because you made your environment in a way that makes it easier. You created a schedule that makes it easier. And now you can create an appointment with yourself. I do this a lot. I create appointments with myself because I'm like, if I don't, especially in my entrepreneurship life, I'm like, if I don't create an appointment with myself, I'll just let somebody else take the time, because I'm like, oh, nothing's on my schedule. We have to make ourselves like a big rock. And so I have a bonus. Like, I paused because I'm like, do I want to give you all this, or is this another video? But I do have a bonus, because after you do all that, I think it's another important thing to declutter is your conversations. So decluttering your conversations getting rid of some conversations that you're having that honestly are keeping you in this cycle of not focusing on what you desire because you have too many naysayers in your ear. Now, when I say declutter that, it could be your timeline, because maybe it's not people audibly saying stuff to you, maybe a video, but it might be just what you're reading, and that stuff affects us. So I want you to consider, what does my newsfeed look like? What am I reading? What am I hearing? What am I looking at? Who am I talking to? And just really notice, what conversations are keeping you stuck where you are, and what conversations are empowering you to begin to have the momentum to do what you know is on your mind. So that's a bonus that you can do, because the whole point of this is for you to lock in on what you desire. And we can't lock into what we desire when we just have not created a life that allows us to really consider what that is, because we're so used to not having to think about it and taking care of everybody else. But you know what? In this season, you get to start prioritizing you so that you can be available to everyone else and actually live a more fulfilled life, because having a pleasing life that is pleasing to you helps the people that are around you, because your energy is different in that space. And God has a purpose for your life too. It is not just helping everybody else, right? There is a message in you. There is something that you are supposed to be doing, but it has been, really, I want to say blinded, but that's not the thing, right? It's been disguised as busyness because we think we don't have time to do it. And I want to kind of get you out of that space so that you can actually do the thing. So if you enjoy this video, then you would really enjoy my main character energy playbook. It's a playbook that I created to help you for 21 days get your main character energy up, because you know what? We can make it seem, or it can feel like we don't have control over our lives. And I want you to start taking control of your life, like you are the main character in your story, that you get to co-create the life that you have, and there's no better time to do it than now. So go ahead and click below, and I can't wait to see you in the next video.